we really want to talk about for episode 38 is what is happening after the whole ride. I don't know. I wouldn't say after. It's still going on. I have really even more mixed commotion now. Just how information is starting to release.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like stuff like that. Lucas, we're not talking about trading pairs. I'm not even looking at a chart. So first thing we want to really just go straight forward. I was doing a lot more research, especially with George Floyd, and finding out information that does not match to what happened. You know, like there's been several videos of that being released, and you know, just like how we were on a New York session and Leak mentioned, you know, saying like, you know, the tattoo, it's not the same as what it should be displayed, right?
Right.
Even the cop, you know, being, you know, very different from what they're giving us. So, and then icing on the cake, one of the officers got bailed out.
Bailed out.
Yeah.
Yeah, $750K.
Yeah. Someone has money to spend during these tough times, right? You know?
And apparently it was a donation site that was set up.
Yeah.
And they used
for PayPal.
I wasn't going to drop the name, but okay, yeah.
Yeah, you know.
They
with PayPal. Mm-hmm. So if you guys are affiliated with PayPal, just know that, you know, they allowed it to happen. So,
well,
interesting.
The account was shut down. I was waiting for a message today to see if it was being addressed, and nothing came out. So the account was apparently shut down, but I'm uneasy about it myself because I'm like, hey, address it. It was public info. Mm-hmm. You guys have to address it. And the irony of that part is that all that came out, and he was released, what was it, 4:10 p.m. Central Time yesterday? Yeah. And at 11 a.m. our time. Yeah. So that was 3 hours before that, right? We had a meeting, a company-wide meeting. Yeah. That addressed diversity, inclusion, and the way that minorities are being treated. Mm-hmm. And then, I mean, everybody, it's very common. I've seen within, 10 years being there that people use, like Peter Thiel donated to Donald Trump, and he partly started PayPal, right? So it was always associated with PayPal, this, that, and the other. Yeah. But I was still looking for the addressment of, hey, this is what happened. This is our action that we took. And I still didn't see that. So... yeah, that kind of threw me for a little bit of a loop yesterday. Yeah,
most definitely. I just feel like with that, insider information that they want this to continue to still keep going, that's going to drag a lot of people, emotionally, being upset that no justice is being served. Like, how could a person supposedly being affiliated with a killing of an individual just have a huge bail and then he's walking out as a free man? So what my concern is that what is the role that he's going to play next? Because there's definitely going to be something else.
Donald Trump?
No, the person that
Gotcha.
The person that got released. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And for me, like I took a lot of the points that you made, some conversations I had before where I was like, yo, I was one of those people 3 weeks ago that was like, hey, no, this guy's dead. Yeah. But apparently, like, I saw this thing about the funeral, the coffin, the picture of the coffin, which was 24 karat gold paid for by Floyd Mayweather, right? It was taken at an angle that made it look like it was a decent sized coffin, but if you looked at it straight on, it wouldn't have even fit somebody that was 5'4". Yeah. And George Floyd was 6'6".
He was a big dude.
And it was closed casket. So
closed casket, right? Of what they're choosing?
I have no idea.
I'm just saying, if you have really nothing to hide, then like especially with such a big effect that caused everyone to start to riot.
Right. So I'm now at the point where I'm like 50-50 because I have to.
No, I am not 50-50.
Well, you're not.
I'm not.
I'm slow. Are. I'm still moving towards that other side because I've seen a lot of things recently that have they've raised a lot of questions and how even just like within our trading calls that we have and how we talk about market structure, this, that, and the other. It's like putting a puzzle together, right?
Someone said on this feed that they were selling tickets for the funeral.
I wouldn't doubt it.
My God,
I wouldn't doubt it.
Is there any way that people can't stop profiting off something? Like,
right, you shouldn't be profiting off of a man's death.
Every angle, they're profiting off something.
Right. So I'm like, I see this so much now that I'm like, okay, now I question it. Now I really question it.
Yes.
So I'm slowly turning, as far as the belief goes.
No, I just honestly, I feel like all of this happening, we're just living in a reality show of our reality of a world.
Well, you said it, the Truman Show.
Yeah.
Shout out Jim Carrey.
Yeah, someone is playing the strings, and it's definitely George Soros. I still believe fully on it. Like, I feel like everything's been completely staged the way how they wanted it to be, but not fully, because it all started with the impeachment, and that epically failed. And then, COVID-19 comes out of nowhere, with the whole tariff talks with China, which I think that was more to the game plan of, how they're going to release, COVID-19, showing no effort plan of a vaccine, which is going to take like a year. And that failed, right? That the impeachment failed, and then COVID-19 comes out, and you see Donald Trump not even trying to make an effort to, cause it or slow the momentum down. So it just happens, right? Mm-hmm. They're like, all right, cool. Let's just see how everyone reacts to it. Close down the economy, right? Mm-hmm. That happens. Now it gave power to the governors, right? They're like, all right, it's all on your hands now. You guys could choose to open or not, and some governors weren't giving a fuck, and they just took affirmative action because Donald Trump was not leading. We have 15 different people speaking every other day.
Yep.
Numbers was just going up. There was no testing. If a person that had a broken arm going to the hospital and he was fixed and he got his cast and everything, oh yeah, he's part of the number of COVID-19.
Yep, exactly.
So that number count is just suddenly just going up higher and higher and higher.
Inflating the number.
Yeah, inflating the numbers. So and then it just becomes a numbers game, and just like how I said in the last episode, we're living in a gullible generation. Pop on CNN, everyone believes, oh damn, the numbers went up. Damn, that's crazy. We believe it with no typical research. How did this come across? Not self-educating ourselves on the bigger picture. Mm-hmm. Like, people got to understand that the government are not here to serve us, and they're not taking this situation to say, oh, we care about you guys.
Well, the government is a business.
It's a business. I don't care what anybody says. Every move that has happened, it's a business move. For years and years and years, I've been saying this since I was like probably 10. That happens, right? We only have 2 states that opens up. That's AZ.
Yeah.
And then that's Texas.
Yep.
And we both know Texas is a big state.
Yeah.
To win, especially for election time.
Of course.
Right around the corner, right?
Of course.
So my question is, we have COVID-19, right? It slowly disappears. And now we're having the whole George Floyd situation, right? Mm-hmm. So COVID-19 starts to slow down. Then all of a sudden, let's just bring in an emotional topic where it could, handle a lot of African Americans, right? Since we have so much history, let's just use that ploy. We had previous deaths that actually happened, but that never got addressed, right?
Right. Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
And previously before.
What happened? So Breonna Taylor died in March.
So if this is such a good cause, right, then don't mind me, of the unity. I'm all for that. But where was the unity when that happened, right? It just wasn't, to me, publicized, the right way. Mm-hmm. They weren't aiming towards, oh, this has happened, on repeat.
Right.
They just said, oh, this happened, and then brushed it aside.
Yeah. If you ask me, just because I'm looking at the situation from the standpoint that really where is the overall truth in the George Floyd situation, for one, right? When I look at what happened with Breonna Taylor, which again happened in March,
Yes.
and it's just
the guy is just surfacing up.
The guy who actually gave the silent warrant, was just now put on leave like 3 days ago, right? So, and it's only because now her name is coming up.
Yeah.
But where was that at? Is it just because it wasn't videotaped, right? It wasn't there on Twitter or Facebook or anything like that? Because there's a lot of there's a lot of innocent people in this case where, yes, I've said this before. I said it on the last podcast. There is a lot of racial inequality. I will be the first one to say that, and I stand up. I'm the first one to say that says all lives don't matter until Black lives matter.
Yeah.
But I will say this as well. People need to remove the wool over their eyes and understand who they're supporting, because we need to support each other like we've said all along.
Yep, that's right.
And look at each situation and take it as it actually is, regardless whether there's a videotape or not. And then when you go out there and you're protesting or whatever, understand what you're protesting for.
Yeah.
If I'm out there protesting, I'm out there protesting for Black Lives Matter, but not for the group, because I'm not going to support something that the Clintons and Soros pay for.
Yep.
Right? So understand and do your research where it says, hey, what am I actually supporting? And where is this coming from? You know, because the first thing that people like to do is get emotionally tied into something.
Yeah.
So
they just seen for what it is, because they got gullible. They just got sucked into that information, which is not facts, you know, at the end of the day. Like, this is also coming from a black man as well. Like, just because I saw what happened to George Floyd, I did not just go and jump in, oh, damn, that's fucked up. Like, no, my concept was, all right, how am I going to process this so it could be like, is this the legit information that we're actually receiving, or is it the painted picture that the media wants to give us, right? So with all that being said, seeing, you know, all of the, you know, the evidence, you know, surface, you know, the cop's badge not even matching it, you know, as a typical uniform.
One of them was said that it was plastic.
Yeah,
the
plastic.
Towel.
Plastic.
The
you know,
Asian guy?
no body cam. And then there was an ATM truck, but it was cops coming out with a different uniform and putting him on a stripper, yeah. So, like, it was just like, when is the last time you ever see cops pull a dead body and placing him back into an ATM trucks, and they're all cops?
Right.
Doesn't add up at all. And there were different angles set, you know, having him sit down, getting arrested, because I'm pretty sure I've been encountered with a lot of cops, and I know the procedure very well. Cops are not going to tell you to, you know, get away from your vehicle, sit you down, and then move you to another cop vehicle that was around the corner over there. Like, doesn't add up at all.
Right.
And then the angle of how he's laid down there, like, it looks like he was already positioned. So I think he's still alive, honestly. I believe it's just a false picture that wanted to start something, and which it did. You know, like, but they weren't aware that it just made people more united and start people to become more self-educated on what's really fucking going on.
Yep.
You know?
And I'm the first one to say, you know, a lot of these feelings that I have, that you have, a lot of people will look at as conspiracy theories, okay?
Yeah, they could think that, because it's just, we've been programmed for so damn long. You know?
And I said this on one of the COVID questions we had when it first came out. I said, hey, what was it? Conspiracy theorists were labeled conspiracy theorists because they didn't want, they as being the people who have set the tone, didn't want other individuals believing what this conspiracy theorist would say, even though there was truth to it.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you can take a look at both sides of the coin and say, okay, this is what I saw, this is what I feel, this is what I've envisioned, but does it all add up? And if it doesn't add up, you have to think, okay, well, what could this be? And sometimes it could be your wildest imagination idea that could actually turn around and say, you know what, that's an actual possibility. And if it's a possibility, guess what? I guarantee that our government, who is usually 15 steps ahead of us, they know what's going on, right? And even put it into a bigger picture when you're talking about New World Order, globalized leadership, etc. China's about 100 steps in front of our government. So for me, what I've been feeling about this whole situation, kind of putting it as the puzzle. You had impeachment, COVID, George Floyd. All of those are democratically based as far as, you know, the Democrats wanted him out for the impeachment.
Yeah, they were pushing it on it so hard.
I haven't yet put the combination for the Democratic parties within COVID-19 because that apparently started in China, you know, for what they say. But as far as this whole thing, I even saw a video on this about how a lot of this was started and funded through the Clinton and Soros fundings, right? Which that's a Democratic side as well.
Yeah.
And all it's doing is giving us.
There's been times that, you know, Soros has his feelings towards Trump and he wants him out of office.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he's a well-known Democratic pro-left side, so to say. But all of these are distractions for a bigger picture. What I think this is a big distraction from is that there could very well be, because we're due for one, a World War III.
Yeah.
Right? And guess who that's going to be between? China and the U.S. It's going to be strained one way or another. Yeah. So for me, why I said about the whole voting situation, I don't necessarily care who wins. Yeah. I'll be the first one to say that. I don't care who wins because we're screwed either way.
I feel like if we truly want change, I feel like no one should vote.
Oh, I agree. That's what I said on the last podcast.
I feel like that should, you know, disrupt, you know, that in a government, you know, honestly. If we have no one vote, who are they going to really elect for president?
Right. And here's the thing with that. I wouldn't be surprised if there was an underlying rule that would be in, you know, the Constitution where we have the right to vote that says if nobody votes, this is where it goes, and as far as the default goes, right? As far as the choice. Yeah. So with that, I agree with you 100%. We need to not vote as a whole people because we need to exercise that right, but we need to exercise it correctly. Let's take it a step further. I had this conversation the other day with Venus, and she was like, "Well, what do you think needs to overall happen?" I said, "The Bill of Rights and the Constitution, written X amount of hundreds of years ago, right? They need to be completely revised." Yeah. And the reason that got brought up is because we were talking about freedom of speech. When you look at any single one of the Bill of Rights and our freedoms to do this, right? There's always you can do this, but, and then there's a consequence for it. Yeah. So one of the most misconstrued rights is the right to freedom of speech, right? You can say whatever you want. Don't get me wrong. Freedom of speech is for us to be able to say what we want.
Yeah, most definitely.
But there's always a consequence for what you say, right? Whether it be you speak to the wrong person the wrong way and something happens. Like, I mean, could end up causing a fight, whatever it may be, right? So there's a physical attribute to that. Or if you say the wrong thing, there could be legal action that's taken, right? There's always a but. So can you really say anything that you want? No. You can't.
Yeah, especially even like talking, you know, to a cop. Like, you know, you could get arrested just for saying what you think it's right.
Exactly.
Freedom of speech. So, like, you know, like people think like the Constitution is just there to put in place just to keep some type of order.
Exactly. So in favor of our government.
Yeah, our government.
Not the people.
Not the people at all. So, like, when they're trying to create the new order, you know, it's more of a control of what you should do. Like, just even look at during the whole process of everything. Like, who truly is benefiting from all of this? You have huge corporations that's been running through this whole entire time.
CEOs that have been able to quit due to COVID and make millions upon millions.
Like, let's talk about Amazon itself. Jeff Bezos is gonna be basically the first trillion millionaire. Like, I can't even put a whole new name to the title.
Well, he's about to buy AMC as well, the biggest theater chain.
Yeah,
and they're gonna start streaming movies through Amazon Prime.
And it's just like, my God, like, this dude might as well just buy everything at this point.
Yeah, when you have that much money, when you have the money, of course, you have all the power, right?
Yeah.
So.
And then he's just gonna be the guy that they'd be like, hey, look, you know, you own all of this, and then he'll be an easier puppet to control.
Absolutely.
That's what I see.
That's what ends up happening. The people that they're afraid of are the people like, let's say, yourself. People that are comfortable, well off, right, financially, and Not just that, but challenging the system, right? So
those are it's just basically they're recruiting,
right.
Like come on board to the other side.
And just wait till as you build up your own net worth over and over and over again, right? Now
it's just gonna give you. They're gonna just put some more opportunities your way. Mm-hmm. You'll be like, hey, remember when we gave you the opportunity?
Right. Let's cash this in real quick.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's weird. It's real weird. But I see things from a different light than what I saw a month ago, a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I don't want to use the word woke, but I'm seeing things in a whole different light. That's like, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. This just isn't right.
Yeah.
And then you have your ability of having people that are brought into it religious wise, like we talked about on the COVID situation before. People are like, hey, this is God's upset, this, that, and the other, right? God this, God that. If we think about it, God only wants us to treat each other the way that we want to be treated. Yeah. The Bible itself, great book, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's written by a individual. The way that it was written, it's been able to be misconstrued. Like, you ever play the telephone game?
Yeah.
You tell one person one thing, they tell somebody that, and they pass it along. By the time it gets to the 10th person, the whole story changes, right? Mm-hmm. Well, how many times do you think the Bible's been rewritten?
Yeah, many times. There's different, versions of it. So
you're going to tell me that things can't be taken into context or taken out of context and rewritten in a different way to where the one that we're reading today is not what was written X amount of years ago?
Yeah.
Right? So I have to go based on my own feeling. I support people that support things that are the right way, that support each other.
Yeah.
I'm here for everybody else.
And that's something I also want to touch base on. Like, yes, we all utilize our social media platforms to, try to voice out. But what I've really been seeing is just that we have been having too many followers. Like, everyone's just reposting, signing for a petition, this and that, blah, blah, blah. But one thing that has been a very takeaway that I have not seen on social media or people even talking, like I've seen like just people that are just beginning to like now want to support, which, the unity, which is very great. But like I haven't seen anyone voice out and speaking why this is so fucked up. Right. Everyone is just reposting, and then they'll get salty when they get called out and be like, why are you always reposting all damn day? And then they'll be like, oh, fuck you, go suck a dick. No, that's not the kind of response that you should be giving out to someone. Right. How about you actually show your face for once? This is the time that you should actually voice out and show your face that you're not hidden. You believe on something that you feel like it's so messed up and actually voice it out. Right. Like, I'm tired of seeing copy and paste messages that you could just get from Google and then posting your story and say that you're all about the move. Like, no, shut the fuck up. You're lying. You're lying. You're not going to go out your day and be like, oh, yeah, this and that. I'm recording myself talking about how I truly feel. Voice the shit out. If you really are about the Black Lives Matter movement, even though that's supported by George Soros, but like voice out what you feel that is messed up.
Right.
That is what you call a true carried message, right? You're not just being a copy and paste. Oh, follow what this person posting their story, and then you're going to post it there. There's too many followers, not enough leaders.
Right.
And that's the reason why I'm using my own platform. I'm showing my face. Yes, I want all the smoke. I want everyone's opinion on it because I don't give a fuck. I want people to know that this shit is so fucked up and being fully aware of what is really happening.
Yeah, and the situations that we see that we're privy to on TV or on the news, a lot of them are fucked up.
Yeah.
But I think what's more fucked up is when you have how many people we have in the U.S.? 7 billion people, and the mass majority of them are lost. That's the problem. But what does it take to have those conversations when someone calls you out and says, hey, what the fuck are you posting all this shit for? Why don't you let me know what you're talking about? Help me out, understand, right?
Yep.
I think that, of course, emotion is what starts all that because people get defensive when that happens.
Yeah.
Instead of being that way, how about you, hey, this is what I feel. this is the facts that I see,
Yeah.
right? Start the conversation.
Yeah.
You got somebody's attention,
Yeah.
right? You got the attention. You did what you needed to do. Now make the change by having the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect example. In Detroit, they're releasing Kwame Kilpatrick, the mayor of Detroit, 2 years early from his sentencing, right? And he bankrupted the city of Detroit. And Royce the 5'9", who is a rapper that I follow, that I admire highly, he posted a picture and it had a king's crown on it. And I'm sitting here like, wait a minute, that's not a good look, right? I said, hey, for someone who's from Detroit, who should understand this, and et cetera, I'm like, you were there and experienced it, and you saw what happened to the people that live there. Why would you support that he's getting out early? And I read later, like in the scroll, right? Because I posted that as a live post on it as a response. In the scroll, he responded to somebody else and was like, I'm always going to support a black man getting out of jail free early for doing the time that he needed to do. I was like, you know what? I respect that point, right? But there's still the point of what he did.
Yeah.
Now,
that's accountability. Like,
right. Because of what I said, though, somebody came out to me and said, hey, why are you even following? If you've got a fucking problem with it, just block or unfollow. I responded and I was like, hey, how about you help me understand where you guys are coming from?
Yeah.
Right? I was like, if there's something that I need to understand, help me. Let's have this conversation. Let me be on the same level, right? Because I'm not the smartest person in the world. I pay attention to news and I make it what it is, but there's things that I don't know. Educate me. Help educate me, right? Never heard back from them. Ever. And I'm like, this is what's wrong. People get emotional, and if we're going to tie this all into trading, emotional ruins your trading, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Emotions can ruin everything. Emotions can ruin everything if you don't have them in check. And sorry, I've been going on a rant here. You know what I'm saying? And
like, it's true. Like everyone reacts out of an emotional remark, like you know, but people don't take the time to process it and remove the emotion out of the situation and just have a conversation. So the moment where, as a whole, we learn to do that, the more like things could get done instead of reacting over emotions. Like, you know, just like how you mentioned, like, you know, supporting someone that, you know, like, you know, African American, like, you know, he still did the crime. Like, you know, there's nothing to really support. Like, you know, it could be any other person. It doesn't even have to be the race that you're supporting. You're just using that as a vehicle, as an excuse. Like, you know, so it shouldn't be different from any other person that's committing the same crime. Right. Because you wouldn't be standing up for a person that was white doing that.
No, absolutely not.
Royce wouldn't be doing that. So, like, let's honestly be real, and don't be lying and fooling yourself that you're saying that you're supporting for a good cause. Because at the end of the day, you're not. Right. You're just being there because you're using your recognition, you know, say, hey, I'm doing this, I'm here. So all I know is that people just we just need to learn to remove the emotion on that factor, because emotions could really cloud a lot of judgment when it comes to decision making. So,
and then what happens when the emotions cloud? The wrong decision is made. The conversation goes into a whole left side, and you lost that opportunity. Hindsight is always 20/20 when people are like, "Fuck, I had an opportunity here. I could have made some form of a difference, whatever it is, something as small or something as large as this." Right? You reach out to one voice. That one voice is going to reach out to two. Those two are going to reach out to four. Four are going to reach out to eight. Right? You start with one. If you can get the one and you've grasped that attention. Make the best of it. Lower the emotions, speak facts, and have the conversation. I mean, there's no argument. I don't feel that any argument is ever really won without a calm conversation, right? But you have to put those emotions in check again. And as a people, that's almost damn near impossible. If we had emotions in check, the Forex market wouldn't be a $6.6 trillion industry daily. That's true. Because when I first started this 2 years ago, when you gave me the facts of what we're actually doing, and we talked about this, because I'm like, how big is this? It was 5.8. It went up almost a full $1 trillion in the span of a year and a half. That is bananas. And why is that? Because everybody's emotionally trading, losing their money. Right?
That's true.
So translate that. Look at it as regular life. And that's what I love about Forex is like I learned so much about life according to trading because everything is all intertwined.
Yeah. And that's what becomes very relatable when it comes to the trading aspect because, like, people think it's just like, oh, you need to have the most fire strategy, this and that. You know, no, you need to learn how to relate to the same concept of, like, how you live life. Like, it's the same concept. Like, you know, how you deal with, you know, tough times. It's the exact same way how you're going to deal with being in a tough trade. When is the right time to close? When is the right time to secure your profit? It's the exact same scenarios. You know that that's a bad decision, or you know that's a decision that's going to help you. It's the same concept. So to be learning that and to master that mindset requires a good amount of time that needs to be processed. You know, like not just coming in of having that rich mentality mindset, because that's just going to really fuck you over. And it's going to probably delay you, but it's okay. That's the whole point of growth. And when you see that growth, it's just like, okay, wow. So I've learned that. It becomes a full lesson. And then you could take that and you could apply that to whatever aspect that you want to focus on in life, any journey, any different careers that you want to partake. So like, it's a great example when it comes to that. But I know we could talk about the whole mindset, which is great. But I also want to talk about what is also going to be happening next in our economy in the next upcoming weeks, because we do have Donald Trump coming into AZ, and now all of a sudden we have the most highest case in the country.
Yes, we are a hot spot in Arizona for COVID.
Arizona is very hot. We got a lot of people moving out here. We got a lot of different people coming in from different states and, you know, taking advantage on the real estate market. You know, taking advantage on that we're open. You know, the nightlife is back. It's rolling. I know Memorial Weekend was crazy, and I live like 2 minutes away from it. So, Airbnbs packed. There was like no houses or like where you could even rent. It was just on a whole nother level. So what I see going on, I just don't see a lot of people voting during these tough times. Like,
nobody cares.
No one cares. Like,
Not
so
right
the
now.
fact is that, yes, it's an election year, but like to be pushing everyone, and you know, everyone's having like set dates. Like, no one is gonna wanna vote. Like, no one's getting paid. So you think like the next president is gonna do anything? Joe Biden is completely trash. You know,
Joe Biden, I'm sorry.
No,
I said we're
like,
screwed either way.
Yeah, we're screwed either way. Like, you know, Donald Trump, he's 50-50. Like, you know, like sometimes he makes a good decision, sometimes he makes a worse decision. Like, but honestly, it is going to come down to the fact is that who they're going to really able to control the best. And, you know, and we might, you know, see in World War III, honestly, we are definitely due for a super depression. Just the way how everything is going.
That's definitely,
you know,
happen.
So especially with the Fed rate cuts that happen, you know, that's only going to extend this shit to 2021.
2022.
Yeah, 2022.
They're keeping the rates at 0%.
Yeah,
till
which is gonna cause the IRS, you know, to keep printing more money, and that's gonna devalue our dollar so bad that it ain't gonna mean shit.
Yep. What Donald Trump wanted at the beginning of his term happened at the end of this term.
Yeah.
Now, where I say we're screwed either way is because either one, Donald Trump is going to strain the relationship between us and China so much that some shit is going to go down.
Yeah.
Or Biden is going to take office and he's going to bow down to China. That's what tends to happen.
Yeah.
So
look at the past previous presidents. Have always kissed ass and, you know, and just be like, yeah, you know. So it's just like,
there's a reason why they are actually. The facade of us being the number one superpower in the world is fake. The number one superpower is China, and I've been saying this. They own us as much as nobody wants to believe it.
Yeah, it's like we can't go around about it. You know, their labor cost is so cheap. It's so cheap. Like, people work there for $1, and we're the most bougiest country in the world.
Yep.
We don't want to work.
Yep.
You know, we think that we're Americans and we have life so much better, which causes a lot of people to want to move in cross the border because opportunity here is better because we give you a little bit more freedom than, other countries.
A little bit more freedom, but are we free?
No, we're really not free. It's just they paint the picture of saying that we're free, but we're really not.
Yep. I would challenge for anybody that's listening to this for the first time.
And technically, legally, we don't even have to be paying taxes. But
that's a whole other topic.
That's a whole other topic.
That's a business that we pay for. Yeah. And granted, they'll come after you.
Yeah.
But there's nowhere in any of the Constitution, Bill of Rights, or anything that says we actually have to pay taxes.
Yeah. And if people are self-educated, I just dropped in a good nugget for you guys. But if you're really educated, you don't really need to pay taxes. They put that fear that we need to, and they make it all specific. Like they just make it so. How could I put this? Damn, I just lost my word that I was going to use.
Well, fear is an emotion.
Yeah, fear is a great emotion, but they put it in such technical terms that you have to.
Oh yeah.
So realistically, you don't.
Oh,
but we'll save that for a next episode.
Agreed. I would challenge anybody who's listening to this, if this is your first time listening to the podcast, go back and listen to the ones that we did about COVID, because I don't know if you and I saw something back then, but we had the conversation when everybody was like, oh, let's wait for summer. Both you and I said, fuck summer, because this shit is not going anywhere.
Yep.
And look what's happening. So we are now the hot spot. We're the hottest state within the U.S.
Hottest.
Right? And now we have the most cases coming out right now. So not only is it not going away, but it's thriving apparently, unless these are inflated numbers again. Yeah. So who knows?
I think it's inflated numbers.
I wouldn't be surprised.
It's all complete bullshit.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I think it's just a marketing play for the overall picture of what they want to play and put more fear, right?
So what's going to end up happening when it gets out of hand again? Shutdown number 2, right?
Yeah.
What's going to happen with our economy? So you want to talk about what's going to be happening in the next few weeks, next couple months, right?
I feel like this is just due for we're seeing a nice a retest, honestly. If we close down again, it's only going to make the stock market want to keep going back up.
Well, after what happened today, the Dow dropped 1,800 points.
Yeah.
I went through.
If we don't have anything, then it's gonna do the right correction that it's supposed to. But if we do close down again and we get everything all running up and giving us that false hope, I feel like even when Donald Trump comes, the next 4 weeks that he's actually coming to AZ, might shut down, right? And then we're going to see everything going back up as the stock market goes back up. And then he's going to use that as a rally motivation. Be like, look, their economy is going strong, blah, 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 make America great again, right? And then it's just really not going to make even more sense because everyone's just like, look, we're closed down and our economy's going up.
Right.
So...
Well, and this could be down. Like we continue to talk about how we're going to see the stock market hit the Dow Jones hit the 18,000 mark, right?
But I don't think that is gonna. If the Feds just keep printing money as they've been, stock market, we saw Nas last week hit his all-time highs, erased the whole start of Corona, and then it came down and went to shit. Because it has to correct itself.
Well, and a lot of those are fintech businesses because they're all online. People can do things from home type businesses. I think Zoom is on there. Zoom is one of the biggest one.
But when you start to have people going back into work, that's what caused NAS to really drop down because they're like, oh shit, like
right. So NAS is going to be that.
Days going back to work, like not physically have to do it online, So
NAS is going to be that. One out of the three that is probably going to continue going up overall, continuing making new highs, while the other two are going to continue to drop. So if we tend to end up, let's just say we end up hitting the 18,000 mark.
Yep.
And because what happens in the next week, next Wednesday, we're supposed to have that passenger flight suspension from anybody from China to the U.S.
Yeah.
Donald Trump said, hey,
my God,
that's Wednesday. That's the 16th. That goes into play where no passenger flights from China to the U.S. are going to be allowed to come in. So now you want to sit there and suspend that, which is going to not only thin the relationship even more between us, but let's just say we haven't even reached the housing crisis yet.
Yeah.
Right? We need a correction in that.
Yeah.
And not just that, but let's when everybody wants to become a politician or somebody that wants, by the time the voting comes along in November, everybody wants to be a voter then.
Yeah.
Right? What happens if he gets reelected and you can only do 2 terms, right? Mm-hmm. He's in his last 2 terms. You really think he's going to give a fuck about what happens the next 4 years? No. There's not going to be a 3rd term after that. And I don't know about you, but as much of a firecracker that he is, literally the word anything comes to mind. Anything is possible. Anything. So that I think people need to prepare for as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
honestly, we're living life as a flip of a coin right now.
Every single day is different.
Yeah. Every single day is different. This is a very historic event that we're participating for what our reality really is.
Yep.
We have the higher ups playing, Monopoly. I feel like we're just on a board and we're trying to roll a dice and try to land on a destination of what could or what is going to happen.
Yep.
So the question is that, for everyone is to keep your eyes open during the few weeks. It's going to get really spicy after even next week. Even for the whole month of June entering into July, really going to be really interesting because once it gets closer to that election date, I think that's when that final phase is going to actually start to release. And, with the higher-ups' true agenda, their true plan, and everything could tell by just when December hits and heading into next year. So,
well, watch when campaigning really gets heavy. They haven't been able to do a lot of campaigning because of COVID. Now that everything is lifted, I would guarantee that between Biden and between Trump, there's going to be a lot of campaigning that is being planned to do in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Everything is on a time basis.
Yeah, and I just don't see a strong campaigns for either party. If people are starting to be more awake, it's just going to be like...
I don't see campaigning even being done because once it starts, that's when we could see the shutdowns happen again.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that that's what it's going to end up coming to.
Yeah,
I mean,
already. If you ask anyone, they'd be like, hey, did you vote? No one's going to say no. Everyone's like, I'm trying to worry about how I'm going to pay my bills.
Right.
So,
but you're going to get those people that, hey, it's our right to vote. Our army goes out and fights for our rights. We're going to make a change.
It's like, no.
Right.
Highly do your research on the people that you actually even attempt to vote because none of the candidates look good. Honestly.
No, they don't. No one. They don't. And
this is even without even our current president.
And let's take that phrase that people say all the time when it comes to voting, right? When it comes to voting, it's said all the time, hey, we were given this right. Our military goes over and fights wars for our rights, right?
Look at what happened to all the veterans when they do.
Well,
they come back and then they don't treat them.
Oh, no, absolutely not. That's a whole different story. But it's funny how that can happen when it comes down to voting. But when it comes down to trying to have these conversations about making change, people get offended. And then it's like you can't say what you're going to say, right? So it's like, hey, let's take Colin Kaepernick, for example, right? Why that was such a big deal.
So we're going back to him now.
Well, the reason I'm bringing this up, is because it's 2 different sides of a coin where the explanation doesn't work for both.
Yeah.
And that means what I mean by that is how I'm talking about voting, where our military can fight for our voting, right? But it's not okay that our military fights for him being able to kneel.
Yeah.
It's a disrespect to the flag.
Yeah.
Right? How is that? I still don't get that.
Yeah.
To that point, because if you're going to silently protest, which right now, if there's a problem with any of the protesters,
don't you find it so weird? He could silently protest, go against everything, right? It becomes a big concern, but we could protest after what so-called virus that doesn't spread easily.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. That whole twist, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
It makes no sense, right? And I've had this conversation with one of my buddies. I supported Colin Kaepernick. I really did because I felt that what he was trying to do in creating those conversations was the best thing possible, and he did it silently, non-violently. I give him credit for that. And for a lot of military members to come out that said, hey, no, I kneel with him when that was going on, because there was all this, oh, he's disrespecting the flag, he's disrespecting the military. You know, think about it. If you're an active military duty person or a veteran, one or the other, and you've gone over and fought for it, and you got a problem with what he's doing, you should have, you know, it should translate over to the same thing where you should have a problem with nobody that votes, because at that point, you know what I'm saying, like it's the same situation. You're fighting for rights that aren't being used. You know what I'm saying? And that's, to me, that's pointless. You went over and fought for no reason. Yeah. So if he can't kneel, you got a fucking problem, right? Think about that. So as far as what he goes, though, I won't go into it too much, but I supported him until he decided to take money. When he decided to settle, that he does a lot as far as he's paying for like all the Minneapolis protesters' lawyer fees. Awesome, great. But you know what? That's NFL money that you settled for. Yep. So you're staying quiet right now, which I ask if this makes it around. You know, I always like to call certain people out. The last one I called out Jake Paul. The last one I called out Van Jones, right? I call out people just in case it reaches that. Colin, man, I want to hear from you. I want you to go on some form of a platform and speak. Yeah. Even though you may not need to because you tried to do it silently beforehand. You were considered as a leader then.
Yeah, and that really comes down to the people that have those kind of platforms. Like, I keep seeing, oh, this person donates this, you know, donates that. How about you guys all collectively come together and actually unite and use your platforms the right way, and saying that you guys are all about what you guys believe in. Like, that's it. That's what it really comes down to. We've been seeing it from time to time. Oh, this person donated this amount of money. Like, who cares at this point now? Right. Like, stop with the whole donating so you could have people just boast about you and be like, oh, you're such a great guy. Like, with the whole Mayweather, like Floyd Mayweather donating to George Floyd, like, that, okay. Right. Like, you know, like, how about you get all your people, you know, since you want to brag about how much money you make, actually get collectively with everyone that are very big and support. Yeah. But I have yet to see that.
I agree. Let's see a group like Colin Kaepernick. Let's see LeBron James. Let's see Floyd Mayweather. These are powerful, African Americans.
All of them are guilty. Like, now, like, I see who they really are during this kind of situation, and it's just like, wow, okay, why should I be really looking up to these people now? Like, they didn't even voice out and saying all this and that.
The only person I've seen outside of, I mean, Ice Cube. Ice Cube's been really vocal. In fact, I don't know if you follow Ice Cube on Twitter, but whoa. If you haven't, go to his page and look at everything. But outside
he's always been like that ever since the NWA days.
Right, but it's back to the NWA days.
Yeah, right. Because he's been going against it since then. Like, you know.
So besides him, though, I see LeBron doing what he's doing, and it's not necessarily a monetary donation, which everybody's like money this, money that, money this, money that, right? Like, so I'll put Ice Cube and I'll put LeBron James in their own little group there. But I want to see those two. Let's take Colin Kaepernick. Let's take the ones that have the power, they have the platform, they have the stance, they have the ideas, and put them together. And let's put them together and make that a real Black Lives Matter group. That's that leadership, right? Yeah. Let's take that leadership and say this is where this group is really going to go, and we have the money, so we don't necessarily need to work on the donations.
That's what I'm saying, like,
right?
Fuck.
But no, we've got Soros and Clinton doing this.
Yeah, and they're just using media outlets to just do their message.
Yep. The video I saw where it actually explained this is that you have somebody took, I don't know if you saw it. It's a guy that took like 9 markers and lined them up in a certain way. He's got the media outlets over here on one side, and then he's got Black Lives Matter over here, and behind it he's got George Soros and the Clintons behind it, right? Because the news media outlet is going to fight and report whatever they can. Meanwhile,
that's negative about the Black Lives Matter.
Exactly.
Nothing positive at all, because that's not going to sell. That's not going to keep the ratings up for them.
Right. Meanwhile, you've got the Clintons funding Antifa, right? Mm-hmm. You've got George Soros funding Antifa. You got the looters coming through, right? So it gives a bad situation it gives a bad name to a situation that, again, as I regroup, it can be solved. It can have progress. We come together.
We just need the right supporting cast to be funding what truly could be matter. Rather, when you have the Clintons and Soros funding the complete negative aspect of it.
Right.
It's unbalanced.
Absolutely.
So we're seeing the negative side just overtaking everything, and knowing that we do have a voice, we do have the unity, because that's what they're scared of. They're scared of all of us being united.
Right.
And if we're really united, then it's game over. That's
Absolutely.
It.
If we're united, then I guarantee
we have so much more people than the government.
Oh my gosh,
man! Like people are not seeing the bigger picture to it. Like you guys are complaining this and that. If everyone was united on the same cause, that's it. The change has rewritten.
Yep.
That is the new order.
Even if you took, that's the correct one.
Yeah.
Even if you took 70%, because let's just give 30% to those that still have their racist views. They don't want to change, right? Whatever.
Let them stay over there.
Stay over on that 30%.
Yeah.
But if you take 70% of 7 billion people, you can make a very powerful change, right?
Most definitely.
But that 70% needs to be unbreakable, which means we have to respect each other's views, right? Use that term, I agree to disagree, or help me understand where you're coming from, and I can respect that, right? So calm conversations, information, facts, right? If I got my facts wrong, please call me out on them, because I'll go back. I'm one of the most accountable people that I know, and if I miss something, I'll go back and I'll be like, all right, you know what? You were right on that, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry for that, right? It's not hard to do that.
Yeah.
But, you get egos involved. You get emotions involved.
Yeah.
And shit goes far left. No pun intended.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that should wrap up episode 38, because honestly, it really comes down to one solution. And the more we keep going through this, the more, some are going to wake up. But the ones that do understand know that it takes unity for change to happen. So until then, if things are not being unified the way how it should be, then we're going to still be in that same predicament. We're going to be that hamster in that wheel, just going round until, we get exhausted and we can't move anymore.
Yep.
So we don't want to be that hamster. We want to be something different, that we could have a better unity, and everyone being on the same page. So.
Well, and I ask this to anybody listening, anybody, whatever. Aren't we tired? If you're tired of the treatment, right?
Yeah.
I'm tired of seeing no change, right? I'm tired of it all. So if what has been happening over X amount of years, as far as fighting, but fighting individually, if it's not working, can we please just try something different and work together? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's all I can. That's all I have to. As far as just leave anybody with is just that question: can't we work together? I hate being that guy that's like, oh, kumbaya, let's get, But it's true. Unification is the biggest power collector. You know, that's it. But we all have to understand our own spot. And if we're not going to have a leadership, and it is on us, then that's where we have to respect each other.
Yep.
It's not hard. There's enough room in this world. There's enough money in this world. Nobody has to be better than the next at everything, But everybody wants a power struggle, I guess.
Yeah, so we're just gonna have to see what happens in upcoming weeks and see what, you know, comes up to surface with anything that's positive or negative. But, you know, we are just writing our own chapter to this right now. So we just got to see how everything unfolds, and then that's how we can react. So do you have anything else that you want to touch space on?
I've said a lot. Yeah. I kind of own this a little bit, and I apologize, man. I'm sorry.
No, there's no apology. I'm not apologizing, so you shouldn't. Like,
well, the reason I apologize is because, you know, I want it to be something where we can make a change.
Yeah.
You know, equally. You and I coming together on this podcast is a start.
Yeah.
And look, you're black. I'm white.
Yep. Derek is wearing a Yankee shirt. I'm a Red Sox fan.
Unfortunately, yeah.
You know?
So you know, there.
Yeah. You know, we got all the.
But either way, it starts with everybody. It starts with us.
Yep.
Just, you know, I always say this as well. I have no problem with people commenting. Comment on this.
Yeah.
Let's start the conversation, because if you're more than willing to have the conversation with me, I'm more than willing to have the conversation with you. And I always say, be respectful, and I'll respect you just as much back.
Yep.
If you're disrespectful, I won't respond, but I'll just throw you into one of the 30%, right?
Yep.
Put it that way. I want the 70% that's going to come over to this side and say, hey, let's work together. I'll just leave it at that.
All right. So you heard the very spicy topic for episode 38. So if you guys have any feedback or have opinions, you guys should just drop it on the comment section. Make sure that you guys like, subscribe to the Blue Capital channel. And we will keep continuing giving you guys our insight of what's really happening in our economy, so you guys are up to date, and just giving you guys, you know, the full awareness of what's truly happening. So hope you guys enjoy this video.
Yep.
We'll see you guys on the next episode.